is an absolute delight to welcome the Starfire Singers of Los Altos United Methodist Church under the direction of Carol and Dirk DeMonte. Please give them a warm welcome. The high school choir of Los Altos United Methodist Church. And for those of you who don't know much about what happens on the other side of the mountain, that's Silicon Valley, California. This group gathers each week for fellowship and music, for retreats and fun. They sing in worship every Sunday, and in the summer they go on tour. And here at South Reno, we are blessed to be the final show of the Rocky Mountain Tour. And I just want to also share that I've been told this is the final show for 28 seniors who have been with this group for a long time. So I think that we are in for a truly wonderful night. This is a group of 71 singers and 26 chaperones. They have already been to Bakersfield, California, St. George, Utah, Grand Junction and Boulder, Colorado, Salt Lake City, and Elko. Which is an original musical written and directed by Dirk and Carol DeMonte. And I want to take just a moment to read an excerpt from the words that the directors have written in the program. The studio is a place of creation, imperfect, sometimes stumbling, sometimes bumbling, yet always striving towards something beautiful. It is a place for all of us to experience the pain, the struggle, the starts and stops, the exhilaration, the joy, and the wonder of creation. That is my prayer for this evening, that we would experience the wonder of creation tonight and always.
Wow, thank you so much, Jennifer, and thank you all of you for being here tonight. You have no idea how heartwarming it is to have our last show filled with so many people. It's just makes it feel right. This is our last show of what has been a sometimes stumbling, sometimes bumbling tour, mostly because of buses breaking down, and also a tour that we have just really seen the wonders of God's creation in spectacular scenery and wonderfully loving and welcoming churches, and in relationship with folks like you. And so we are just delighted to be here. We want to say a real special thank you for the delicious dinner that we had today. Definitely some of the best spaghetti I have ever had. So thank you so much for that. And again, thank you for being here. I think Jennifer kind of summed it all up. We really are here to celebrate creation, and we are here to celebrate God's work among us as a creator that just never gives up on loving us and never gives up on calling us to be in creation with God. And that really is what this message is all about. So we thank you for being here, and we are just so delighted that you have come to join us tonight in the studio.
In the beginning.
The very beginning.
Before there was anything else.
Anything.
In the beginning, there was nothing. God created the heavens and the earth. All you see and all you don't see.
Earth was a soup of nothingness, a bottomless emptiness and inky blackness.
God's spirit brooded like a bird above the watery abyss.
And then, God spoke.
God spoke, and creation began to unfurl, and it hasn't stopped yet. Tonight, this very night, right here in this place, it continues.
Another day is put in play in its special way, and who can say what will happen today? Wake up, time to rise and shine. Look for the sign that something divine in God's design will fill us today.
It's another day, brand new. It's a chance to change our view. It's a time for us to do the art of life and love anew.
Who knows what this day will bring, what new song we'll sing, what dream will take wing, 'cause anything can happen today. Open up your eyes to see the possibility of what could be for you and me on a day like today.
It's another day, brand new. It's a chance to change our view. It's a time for us to do the art of life and love anew. Each day brings surprises. Each day brings new light. Sunsets and sunrises. Day will follow night. Each day symbolizes a chance to set things right. Gifts and sacrifices, when hearts and souls unite.
Well, hey Scott, are you ready for a summer of new creations and surprises here in our studio? Sure am. Wait until they all hear about this. Ah yes. We've never had a commission quite like this one. That's for sure. This is gonna take everyone working together like never before. We'll tell the resident artists about it today. Then we'll bring in the community and tell them about it too. Sounds good. It's gonna be an amazing day. Come on, it's another day, it's gonna be okay, so don't delay, get swept away in the chance of today. Join me in creation song, sing all day long, you can't go wrong, we all belong to the joy of today.
It's another day, brand new. It's a chance to change our view. It's a time for us to do the art of life and love. It's another day, fresh start. Time to make our lives hard. Time to reach into our heart and win this day straight from the heart. It's another day. 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 It's another day.
Okay, all right. Gather around, everybody. We've got some exciting news. Hey, don't worry. You can get back to your projects in a minute. But you're going to want to hear this news because it involves all of us.
Well, don't keep us in the dark any longer. Spill it. What's the news?
Okay. We've been given a commission. A big one.
What do you mean, we?
I mean us, the studio. All of us.
How can all of us get a commission? What's it for?
It calls for all of us to work together. It's a collaboration.
But what art form does it call for?
Yeah, it can't possibly involve all of us. I'm a dancer, she's a potter. What could we create together?
Exactly.
And that is going to be part of the challenge. But trust us, this will need to include every single one of them.
What's the commission?
Be patient. We'll get to that. First, though, we're going to need even more artists to accomplish this.
What? More artists? You've got to be joking. It's crowded enough as it is.
Listen, guys, relax. We know what we're doing, right? Yeah. We're about to start our summer classes anyways. We could use those students.
Students working on a major commission? What are you talking about?
We're going to have enough trouble figuring things out amongst ourselves without adding amateurs to the mix.
I thought you said this was a big commission, big deal.
And it is.
Well, I'm pretty sure whoever commissioned it isn't expecting beginners to do it.
Well, no, not just beginners. That's why we need you guys to lead the way.
But you get hundreds of students here when summer classes start, and most of them don't even want to be here.
Hey, stop worrying. This is going to be an amazing experience. We just need to get all the artists together, and then we'll explain everything. For now, though, let's just get ready for the new students to get here.
Well, we'll be here soon. It's the first day of summer classes.
Best day of the year.
It's the best day of the year.
When all of the artists, budding artists, undiscovered artists,
artists.
oh, come together in our studio. Come in, everybody come in. Calling all artists, it's time for classes to begin. Calling all painters and sculptors and poets and those who don't know what they're creating at all. Calling all actors and writers and singers, whatever you bring is how you answer the call. You don't need to know all the finest technique. A willing spirit is all that we see. You don't need to be an expert at all. All that we ask is that you answer the call.
Calling all artists wherever you are, so completely unknown or the next epic star. We call you to come to the studio now, for this is the place where you'll take your next step. The artists within you waiting for us you. Come join us together, we'll make our debut. The power is waiting, we'll find the right you. Together we'll bring out the artist in you. Calling all artists, come and join the fun. Calling all artists, welcome everyone. Calling all, calling all, calling all, calling all. Calling the one, two, three, like I say, and the one to the three, is up to the three. Calling the one, two, times to last beat, and the one to the three, it's all the beautiful dream. This is the place where all gifts will combine. This is the place where we can tune and refine. This is the place where talent projects fall. This is the place for us to answer the call. Calling all artists wherever you are, they're completely unknown or the next epic star. We call you to come to the studio now, for this is the place where you'll take your next step. The artist within you waiting for us you. Come join us together, we'll make our debut. The palette is waiting, come find the right you. Together we'll bring out the artist in you. Calling all artists, come and join the fun. Calling all artists, welcome everyone. Calling all, calling all, calling all, calling all.
Come on in, and take a risk. Need to be scared, no need to resist. Come being more creative, come use all your gifts. Forget your excuses, forget your woes.
Calling all artists wherever you are, they're completely unknown or the next epic star. We call you to come to the studio now, for this is the place where you'll take your next step. The artist within you waiting for us you. Come join us together, we'll make our debut. The palette is waiting, come find the right you. Together we'll bring out the artist in you. Calling all artists, come and join the fun. Calling all artists, welcome everyone. Calling all, calling all, calling all, calling all. Calling all, calling all, calling all, calling all. Calling all, calling all, calling all, calling all.
Wonderful. Welcome all of you. I'm Scott, this is Dylan, and this is our studio. It is a place for artists of every kind, every level of skill. It is a place where we can create together. We're going to have an amazing time together. You all are part of a very special summer session here at our studio. Before you go off with your art groups, we'd like to let you know about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we've been given. We've just received a commission, a very important commission. It is going to require all of us working together to create something incredible. Each of you will do this in your art groups. The ceramic students, the painting students, the actors. You get the idea. So to begin with, why don't we get into those groups? Depending on which area you signed up for.
But before we go any further, let's introduce our teaching assistants to you. First off are Casey, Beck, and Jeff, working with you singers and other musicians.
Hey everybody, all you guys who signed up for the music track, come on over here with me.
All right, next are Haley and Caitlin, working with the dancers, and Jenny, Will, Nadine, and Jenny B, working with you actors.
Hey everyone, let's have the dancers over here and the actors over there.
Back here we have the painters, Danica, Brad, and Mark. As for any of you doing any ceramics, we have Erica, Philip, and Hannah. We also have Liza and Stacia working with any of you doing any jewelry making. Connor, Alyssa, and Chris working in the video and film area. Everybody go find your groups.
Man, look at these guys. I think we're in big trouble.
No kidding. I wonder how many of my group has ever even seen a play, let alone read a script or delivered a line.
I can't wait to see what they do with the lump of clay on the wheel.
All right. Now that you're in your groups, I suggest you get to know each other a little bit better so we can get working on our commission.
Hey, Teach. I've got some bad news for you. I've never done this before in my life. There's no way I can open this commission thing you've got going on.
Yeah, me either. I don't even want to be here. This wasn't my idea.
Yeah, count me out too.
Well, maybe we can help make paints or run copies or something.
Don't be such a kiss-up. I didn't come here to be someone else's gopher.
Hey, can you go refill these paints for me?
Sure, I guess. Whoa. Hold on a minute. Nobody's gonna be anybody's gopher. Each of you will have a part in creating this work. Don't worry if you don't know how to do it right. We'll all be learning together. Nobody will be left out. Everybody has something to offer.
Something to offer? Yeah, right. I could offer you my parents who are making me do this. Maybe they could help you create.
I still don't see how this is going to work.
Relax, Connor. I promise you, it will work. All right. Now to begin with, each group is gonna need one of these. This will be the medium for your work. Your assignment is to tell your story using your art form and represent it on your board.
Hang on. Tell your story? Tell whose story? There's a bunch of us in each group.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to tell each other your stories first, and then figure out how to tell them collectively, and then figure out how to represent them on your board.
I'm a singer. How do I put something on a board?
Yeah, how about as actors? Are we supposed to stand on the board and recite a soliloquy?
You guys, we can figure it out. All we have to do is represent our art form. I'm worried about how we're going to tell all these stories in one piece.
And that is the challenge. But great art always tells a story. There, that's your first lesson for our summer session. Art always tells a story.
Look at his body twist so the rock can be thrown. Look at his hands tightening as he holds the stone. Look at his fierce determination to claim victory for his own. Look at his face. The story is in the face.
The Pietà by Michelangelo, 1498. Look at the form of Christ lying across her knees. Look at the flowing cloth of unsurpassed beauty. Look at the Virgin's eyes aching to set her son free. Look at her face. The story is in the face. I don't possess a storyline through power and through shame, through sculpting and through drawing lines, the honest hand creates an image and a story where truth reveals its face. About the human spirit living fully in this place. Tell me the human story. Show
center of the firing squad. Look at the church in the distance, making the foreground seem odd. Look at the victim in light who is searching for God. Look at the face, the stories in the face.
Return of the Prodigal Son by Rembrandt, 1669. Look at the parable of Christ seen within the frame. Look how the prodigal gains redemption from his shame. Look at the father releasing his long-held pain. Look at the face, the stories in the face. Tell me the human story. Show me the human face. Tell me the human story. Show me the human face. The story is in the face.
That's how this commission will unfold.
Oh, come on. You don't expect us to produce next David or P.A. Todd, do you?
Yeah, no offense, but I'm looking around and I don't exactly see the next Michelangelo or Rembrandt here.
Exactly. It's one thing to have these virtuoso artists depicting mythic characters and stories. We're just hacks with boring, everyday stories to tell.
Okay, listen. We'll never know until we give it a try.
Alright, so who wants to start? Who's got a story to tell?
This is stupid. A little old for bedtime stories.
Really? Hey, Vito, what's your story?
Ooh, I'm so glad you asked. Well, once upon a time I was born. Then I lived for a while. Someday I'll die. The end.
Wow, that's fascinating. Could you paint that picture for me?
Very funny, you guys, but come on. Somebody must have a story to tell.
What could we possibly tell that's going to be interesting to anyone else?
Yeah, so far it's been a pretty boring, average life. Who wants to see that displayed for all the world to see?
Yeah, my life bores me and I'm in it. Telling about put everyone to sleep.
The interesting stuff is nobody's business anyways.
Look, you guys, we all have a story to tell. I'll start. Picture it this way.
Here on the
days we took our favorite kites. In the open fields we met on the street. Rising and diving into the sky, my best friend and I. But as winter passed and summer was new, the word goodbye just hung in our midst. My love will wait not us let go and move on with the show.
What do you say, guys? How are we gonna do this?
You see, that's the problem. We each picture life so differently.
No kidding. You guys mentioned family and conjure a picture of mom, dad, a little sister, a brother, a dog, and apple pie in middle America. But that's not my experience. When I hear family, I hear crying, yelling, and screaming, and all I want to do is run away.
Cool. That's your story. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Cool? Cool? There's nothing cool about that, and I sure don't want to memorialize it for all time on some big mural. I want to forget about it.
I hear you. There's not much about my life I want to glorify and celebrate.
Well, at least you haven't been discriminated against your whole life. Try dealing with that.
My story is that not a single one of you has ever reached out to me since I moved here. And it's been 3 months. Who can relate to that?
My story is my dad's been looking for work for a year and a half, and we can barely afford groceries. And then I have to look at all of you, the new iPhones and cars and designer clothes. You have no idea what I'm going through.
Look, like I said before, this is stupid. No one can possibly understand someone else's story. How could we?
doing great.
Great? What are you talking about? We've just decided that we can't possibly understand each other's stories.
Yeah, all we've done so far is realize how different everyone's story is.
But see, that's what I mean. You guys are doing great.
You mean this is what we're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, it's a start. You're sharing and you're listening. The two most important elements of storytelling.
Okay, I get that. But how are we supposed to represent what we're sharing and hearing?
I think we have a little more listening to do before we're ready to put anything on the board.
Yeah, we still have a lot of people to hear from.
Stacia, I had no idea you were so unhappy. You always seemed so bubbly.
I always felt like I had to maintain a happy facade. Otherwise, I just fell apart all the time.
Well, I'm glad you shared. I can be here for you if you need a friend.
Thanks, I do.
Chris, I'm sorry I never talked to you before. It just always seemed like you wanted to be alone.
Well, I just never knew how to break into your group.
My group? I didn't even think I had a group. Most of the time I felt pretty left out too.
Wow, really?
Really?
Oh, I'm getting that warm and fuzzy feeling again. Maybe we can all go on over it and cry together.
Why are you always so cynical?
Because this is so contrived. All these good feelings will last about as long as this class. Then it's back to the way things have always been.
Exactly. In case you haven't noticed, nobody's paying attention to anybody's stories out there in the world.
Maybe that's the problem. Well, of course that's the problem. But we can't even understand what each other are going through here in this group, and we're all pretty much the same.
It's human nature to resort to competition and self-defense. It's just the way of the world.
But look how quickly we started to understand each other just by sharing a few stories. Maybe it starts here.
We'll see.
I still don't see how this is going to work. How do we fit all these stories and all these feelings into one work of art? I just don't see how we're going to do it.
I think you still have some more sharing and listening to do. Now why don't you all head off to your art rooms, keep the sharing going, and see what you come up with. Just remember, you're doing great. You really are.
Well, guys, I feel like I know you all a lot better than when we got started. You think we're ready to get going on our piece?
Sure, what do you want to do?
What if we each made a small ceramic representation of what we shared, then attach it to our board?
Hey, you guys.
And then we can put a border around it. A border? I love borders.
Yeah, a border. That would unify it.
Hey, you guys.
And then we can recoup part of the border. And for each of our individual pieces, I'm thinking we can
Hey, you guys. Should we give us just a wheel, or are we just pinch body?
You guys!
Yeah, what is it?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've been trying to make a tree out of this clay for 45 minutes, and it looks more like a snake eating a porcupine.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I can't do this! I'm so excited about this, you guys. I can just see how each of our stories will translate to the canvas.
Canvas?
Well, okay, I guess it's wood.
Let's make our board a big mirror. Each of us can paint a section with their own stories.
Yeah, but how am I
And maybe
supposed
unify with the border or have some common themes throughout.
Yeah, but how am I going to
That
show
will bring the whole thing together. So I'll show it the distinct and separate stories of each of us. It'll be at the same time that we use the work to show thematic unity.
Yeah, but how am I going to show it?
Have you seen some of the reliefs and murals from the temples at Ephesus? It was such an important early church with such amazing art. We can model our section after some of those works.
Yeah, do you
Then
think
we can bring them all together with something in the center that represents us all.
Yeah, but how am I going to
Maybe in the center we can tie in some of the timeless images from mythology, like Apollo, the god of truth and music, or Bacchus, the god of wine and merriment.
Yeah, but how
Yeah,
am
we
I...
can even do some watercolor, maybe even some pen and ink.
Yeah, but do you think I
Let's
can...
keep going. Each of us can hop out a 4x4 space for our pictures.
Yeah, but how do I do it? I flunked painting in kindergarten.
How do you flunk painting?
Well, I just kept painting and painting, trying to get it just right. Till finally, every time I ended up with a huge blob that was brownish, greenish, blackish.
Ew, okay, I get it.
Listen, just paint what you feel.
I'm trying to.
Listen, just mold what you feel.
I'm trying to, but everything I make is a catastrophe. Where two or three are gathered, all stepping out for faith. I find myself thinking, this really is a shame. ostentatious. We've actually learned a lot about entire civilizations by studying the kind of jewelry they made and what it was used for.
Okay. But still, how am I supposed to tell my story through some beads and string?
Aren't you paying attention? It's not just beads and string.
Whatever, maybe I can be like P. Diddy and make some major bling. Maybe that will tell my story.
How about we focus on the stories we share together and how to make them into one piece?
Why one piece? Why don't we make a bunch of different pieces and tie them all together in the end?
Or we could do like a giant charm bracelet, and each charm could represent our individual stories.
Charm bracelet? I hope you're kidding.
You guys, it's not as important what we make as that it reflects what we're sharing with each other. Let's try listening to each other one more time and see if any images pop into our heads. And while you guys are sharing, I'm going to grab some more supplies. Anyone need anything?
Hey, can you grab your latte? I'll be ready.
Okay, so we're agreed. We will write a one-act play incorporating each of our stories, with each of us playing ourselves.
Then we'll stage the production and take lots of pictures. And put those pictures...
Plus the script.
Plus the script on our board representing our stories come to life.
Sounds good, but in addition to playing myself, I'll need several of you to play the supporting roles of my story.
Supporting roles?
Exactly. My story is really quite gripping and requires a lot of very talented.
We're not going to have time for all that. My story's going to take some time to unfold. It's really quite amazing. Having been born overseas and coming here on a cargo ship, I'll need some special effects, some props.
What do you need to an editor? You're a legend in your own mind. I'm thinking, if we really want people to move in this production, well, we need a central character.
A central character?
Yeah.
And who would that be?
Well, I was thinking, me. My story's so unique. And it's really the story of every man, woman, with the universal theme of survival and triumph over all.
Oh, brother, sister, I don't think the stage is big enough for you, us, and your ego.
I love that idea, Casey. We'll put all of our stories in song. Then we'll record a CD. Then we'll take the actual CD and post all the sheet music and put it on our board. Cool.
Casey?
Awesome. When do we audition? Audition? For the solos.
Who said anything about solos?
Of course there are going to be solos on it.
And you think you're going to get one?
Not just one, probably like 3 or 4.
Oh, and what happened to check your ego at the door?
It's not about ego. I just have an angelic gift that needs to be shared with others.
Well, I got news for you, buddy. A lot of us have gifts that need to be shared.
And I suppose you think you're one of them?
Well, not to brag or anything, but everyone always says I should go on American Idol.
And if everyone always says it, then it must be true.
How would you know? You've never even heard me sing.
Thank God for that small miracle.
Okay, let's be careful. Remember, it's about listening to each other's stories, not who gets the most solos.
Once you hear my voice, you'll forget about those auditions, those stories. Let's just have the auditions.
Let's just have the audition.
Then you'll
Thanks.
see.
Subtlety in every note is a gift that is precious. It's giving back
how's it going?
Oh, I think it's going okay. Everyone seems to be working pretty hard.
My group's definitely listening better to each other. I think I finally got everyone to share their stories.
Oh, excellent. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's going well.
I don't know, we're still kind of struggling.
With what?
But just making space for each other, I guess. They've listened some, but some of them, or us, I guess, are just jockeying for top position.
Aw, they'll work it out.
We're having a tough time.
With what?
Well, I just feel like we're kind of lost. We've shared the stories, and we're really excited about making this work. But we don't know what to do with them. We don't know how to put it all together. It's like we're lost in the creation.
What they're saying is nothing new. See, it's easy to get lost in the process, in the details, in the differences. It's easy to get lost in the immensity of the task. It's easy to get lost, and in getting lost, to become paralyzed.
Isn't that what's happened to our world?
Well, it sure seems like it. Everyone gets so caught up in their own story, their own piece of creation, they start to block everything else out.
They not only block it out, a lot of them actively prevent others from participating.
Which is why we're trying to do it a different way.
And yet, even here in our little art studio, people are lost and confused and arguing and blocking.
Yes, and creating and solving and working it out. The biggest thing to realize is that while we have a part in creation, in creating, it's ultimately not up to us.
What do you mean?
Well, from my point of view, there is only one creator. And that creator invites all of us, each of us, to join in the creating. We've been given gifts, and our lives have unfolded in a series of stories. The problem occurs when we forget the source of those gifts and the thread of those stories.
The creator?
God.
Exactly.
If we keep messing it up so badly, doesn't that mean God really is such a great creator?
Well, no, hardly. It means that God is an infinitely patient creator and an infinitely creative creator.
But God created this beautiful and perfect universe. From the second humans became humans, we've been slowly destroying it.
No kidding.
Our history isn't exactly stellar.
But that's because the creation always continues. Just as your groups are still trying to figure it out, we're all still trying to figure it out.
But figuring it out is ridiculously complicated.
And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. But you see, that's the thing. It's really not that complicated at all. At its core, it's actually very simple.
Gather round, come close and listen now. A simple truth that we all seek. Let down your pride and open up your heart to hear the message that we speak. A simple message that moves us all till our purpose is made clear, that all creation's molded out of love, not ignorance of fear. Simple soul, simple love, when
By taking the words out, we also express the deeper meaning. It becomes an expression of our entire bodies.
By expressing that meaning physically, we come to a deeper understanding of that meaning, how it affects us and how we connect with it.
The dancers have come up with our story. We call it Creation Found.
Wonderful. Let's see it. Well, friends, the time has come to share your projects.
Wait, we're not even finished yet.
Yeah, neither are we. That's okay. See, it's never finished. Let's just see where we are at this moment, in this place.
Our piece of silhouettes of each member of our group, cut out of metal and decorated with symbols of each of our stories.
On our board, we put the sheet music from a song we all sang together, plus a CD of some of our favorite songs and some other things that represent the way music has helped us tell our stories over the years.
We in the video group put a picture on ours that represents the way video comes from creativity and helps the world see our story come to life.
The ceramics group put an inky cross, which represents creation and the way all parts of it are interconnected. We put the cross on top of an eternity spiral. To us, this represents the sacred way our stories connect.
On our board, we put 4 playwrights who have told the human story over the centuries. Behind it, we put our own script, which tells each of our unique stories.
The dancers have made a silhouette of a dancer and mounted it on a galaxy
to represent how dance connects us and our stories with all of creation.
The painting group thought about a lot of different possibilities. We eventually settled on a very simple depiction of a tree of life. To us, it symbolizes the human family and the life and the roots that connect us all.
And in the center, a plate. It symbolizes the life, love, stories that we all share. Would you look at that? It's incredible. You guys have done a spectacular job.
Well, is it right?
Of course it's right. It's not just right, it's perfect.
Is it what the patron asked for?
Yeah. Is he or she or whoever gonna like it?
Oh, they're going to love it.
Who is? Who commissioned this?
Yeah, what was the commission anyway?
Are you gonna read it to us?
Well, I don't see why not. Kristen, why don't you read it?
The Great Commission is the Great Commandment. That's it.
Who's it from?
It's not signed. There's no address on the envelope either.
What the heck does that mean?
Have you ever heard of the Great Commission?
Isn't that where Jesus tells his disciples to go and convert everyone?
Not exactly. It's the word that Jesus leaves with his disciples. It's different in Matthew, Luke, John, and Acts. Essentially, though, Jesus tells his disciples, and really tells each and every one of us, to share the message, the story, with the whole world.
And this says the Great Commission is the Great Commandment.
And what's the Great Commandment?
Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love God with all that you are, heart, soul, and mind. He did not stop there. He said the next greatest commandment is much like it. Love your neighbor as yourself.
And he said that everything else was dependent on those two.
So it's all about love.
Yes, that's the commission. That's the commandment. That's what God is calling us to do.
People
creator story. God's story is the message Jesus kept trying to tell us through his own stories, through his own teachings, even with his own life.
And that message is love God with all that you've got, and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Exactly. Like you said, everything else is dependent on that simple formula. Jesus gave everything trying to help us understand that.
So that's the point of this commission? The point of creation? To show our love for God and for each other?
And ourselves. I think that's the point of all creation. See, God's creation is an unending act of love. And it doesn't stop there. God loves us so much that we are invited to join in the creation with God.
That's awesome.
It's more than just awesome, it's amazing.
And we get to be a part of it.
It is indeed awesome and amazing, everything else you can think of. And yes, every single one of us gets to be a part of it. God created us to be living, thinking, breathing, creating parts of his own creation. We are created to be creators. And creation is an act of love.
The ultimate act of love.
The ultimate act of love. Jesus did the same thing with his disciples. He invited them to sit at the table with him, even as he was preparing to leave them. They sat at the table with him, and they joined in the meal with him. And at that moment, he became a part of them, just as he becomes a part of us. Finally, it is at the table where we are made whole.
You are my
creation.
There are still people who've been turned away from the table.
And people whose gifts haven't been noticed.
Or who haven't noticed their gifts.
That's right. Everybody has gifts given to them by God. Gifts of humanity, gifts of the Spirit.
But when they're excluded because of who they are, what they look like, who they were created to be, where they're from, their gifts and their humanity are not honored.
Honoring creation means keeping a space open for those who have been turned away before, or who haven't come to the table yet at all.
I think you finally got it. See, the creation never stops, because life itself is always unfolding, always growing, always creating. We must never stop listening, telling, letting our own stories be told, listening to the stories of everyone at the table. And we must never stop making room at the table. This is a commission that is never finished.
So our work is never done?
Sounds exhausting.
Exhausting? Well, maybe sometimes, but it's also energizing.
To be a part of creation, of God's world unfolding before our eyes, there's nothing more exciting than that.
Nothing more exciting, or challenging, or confusing, or fulfilling, or amazing is the essence of what life and living are all about. Joining with God to create a world where love is the final word, where everyone's gifts are recognized, where everyone's story is told.
That's a pretty tall order. Yeah, of course it is. We haven't perfected it yet in human history. But God is the artist who never gives up, who loves the creation even in its imperfection, and who knows that it continues to unfold. And it's not too late, my friends. It's never too late for us to join the creation and sing along with the Creator.
Stop to look around and listen for the sound. Creation is calling and everyone's falling in love with what God's doing here. Can you feel the spark within as He sends new life begin?
in a way that's inclusive, in a way that has no boundaries, in a way that sees it perfectly. So as we leave here tonight, after we spend some time maybe talking after, I ask that you move out of here with that passion to live out this commission and this commandment to love each other, to love ourselves, and to love your neighbor. This is what God is calling us to do. And thank you for joining us with your gifts in the studio tonight. And at this time, we'll take an offering. And after that, because this is our last time together, we will ask the chaperones who have spent these 2 weeks with us to come up and to sing with us